Welcome, everyone, to the Libraries Open podcast. I'm very excited because today we have Rex Duval of Nookly. Welcome.
Hello, hello. It is so wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. Is this your first podcast guest experience?
You know what? I appreciate you calling me out on that. Yes, it is my first podcast guest experience. So I'll ask everyone to forgive the naivete here. But
I,
thank you for having me, Elise.
I would have actually never known. I thought you were going to list off a whole like litany of podcasts you've been on before.
No, no, this is the first and the
This
best.
wow, this is very exciting. And if you didn't know, listener, Rex was actually a part of our AI Innovations and Libraries conference a few months ago and gave a great talk about some of the services that Nookly is offering. And you can go back and listen to that right now if you go to bywater.solutions/AI conference. I will share the link in the description. All those recordings are still available until the end of the year. So please go and watch. I learned a lot from your presentation. So thank you for being
Thank
a
you
part
so
of that.
much.
Yeah.
No, it was such a pleasure. It was great to connect with everybody there. A lot of
Yeah.
good questions.
Yeah, it was really good. So, anyway, I just want to jump right into kind of your background and how you ended up co-founding this company and how you got into this line of work. So, give us a little bit of an overview of how you ended up where you are today.
Yeah, it's like many kind of origin stories. I think it's a lot of twists and turns that I didn't necessarily see coming. But to give a little context, what Nookly does is we leverage AI to support visual learning. And so we believe that kids really react well when they can see themselves in the visuals that are facilitating any type of learning interaction, whether it's preparing a child for a transition, like going to the dentist for the first time, or helping them learn kind of a tricky topic, like what it is to be kind or loyal, or how to share, which is something I'm sure my parents would have loved to have when I was a little kid. So in a lot of ways, we bridge learning and entertainment. And so I weave that into the background because my family is very much a family of entertainers. So my sister is an actress and a singer. She stole all of my talent, which I'm not bitter about at all. And then my grandfather was actually on Broadway as a singer, and was the original Juan Valdez in the Columbia coffee commercials. So entertainment and all of the joy that can come out of that has just kind of been woven into my background and kind of my personal preferences, you could say. So, with all of that context, I did not start my career in entertainment. Again, sister talent stealer. I started in B2B sales and then worked in consulting for a little bit, mostly on state and local government consulting. So, public service oriented work, which I really enjoyed the impact driven nature of that. And so when I went to business school in Chicago, I was kind of looking to find something where I could blend in some of my different passions. I knew I wanted to do something that was going to make the world a better place, even though that's the most cliche thing to say, but also that was fun and would make people smile. And so when I stumbled across what has ultimately become Nookly, it really came out of my wife's experience as a behavior therapist. So one evening, she was very frustrated as we were having dinner. And once I validated that it wasn't frustration towards me, she then explained that she was preparing to put together some materials to help a young boy that she was working with in a therapy session. And I started asking questions, and she explained that she was trying to put together a story, which she referred to as a social story, to help engage this child. And it was particularly about not hitting other kids. But she couldn't find any images of a kid that looked like this boy. And so she is a very empathetic person. I'm very lucky. But she was spending all of this time trying to find characters to match what she needed. And, you know, there's just such a demand and supply imbalance of folks that are committed to supporting early childhood development, excuse me, and then the demand of kids that really need more hands-on support. And so fundamentally, Nookly is working to bridge that gap.
Okay, I hate that this is my biggest takeaway right now from everything you just said, but I had to Google the original Juan Valdez.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Did you see him with the donkey walking around?
Hang on, I'm watching it now because I didn't want to.
Yeah.
Hang
Yeah.
on, I'm turning my volume down because I don't want it to mess up the. But oh my goodness, I can't believe that's him. That is
I
amazing.
know. You'd think that we would get free Colombian coffee, but unfortunately, I'm still having to pay full price. So if you're listening out there, someone needs to remedy that.
I didn't know Columbia Coffee was still around that brand actually.
It is. They have one in Times Square in New York. At least they did 5 years ago.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sorry
Uh-huh.
that I had to focus on that first, but getting
No, as you should, as you should.
okay, so getting back, that is such a powerful inspiration story about how you kind of got to where you were with Nookly. And I kind of just want to delve, you talk about that, delve deeper into the product itself and kind of all the capabilities that it can do. So can you get a little bit into that and tell us how it works from a user perspective?
Yeah, I would be happy to. So we really want to make it a very seamless process for folks to create stories again that are personalized so that the kids can see themselves. And there are a lot of different types of visuals that can be helpful tools with kids. So you could think about social stories, which is where we started. We had an example of a teacher that needed to create a story for a girl who was being bullied in school about her hair and it being different from some of the other girls in her classroom. And so that teacher created a story, took 4 minutes to do that. And then you had that girl's likeness in a kind of movie studio quality type story that the teacher was able to pull out, use, download, share with the child, send it home. There are many different other types of visuals, though. You could think about visual schedules. So when a child is coming into a library for the first time, helping them understand what they can expect while being at the library, right? And doing that and representing it visually is something that we can help with creating. There are emotion cards, right? If I'm talking to a child about what it means to be brave, what it means to feel sad, and then what are some actions that are positive ways to respond to those emotions? Well, rather than us just talk about those kind of nebulous, tricky concepts for adults, even to fully wrap their heads around, you can make it more concrete. And then that concreteness helps increase confidence and reception on the part of the child. So the way that it would actually work, let's say I want to create a story. And so my story is about healthy eating habits, and I'm creating it for a boy named Sam. We're talking about being healthy. So you'd come into Nookly, you would tell us the big goal that you have, right? Healthy eating habits. We're going to create a social story together. And then you would let us know who the story is for. And when we think about personalization, it's not just what the child looks like, but also trying to be representative of their world, right? So if the child comes from a single parent home, if the child is being raised by a caregiver, right? Maybe grandma's the one raising that child. Well, then as we're putting the story together, we're going to make sure that the ancillary characters, the supporting cast, are more relevant to that child, not just stopping at what the skin tone of the child is, or if the child's in a wheelchair, making sure that's encompassed as well. So you go through this personalization process, it takes about a minute, and then the AI will do the drafting for you of the story, right? And so this is really important detail for us because we believe that it's important for the human to remain in the loop, right? We think about it as we've got a bunch of these different highly specialized AI assistants that are there to help you, but ultimately you're the professional, you're in control, every child is unique. And so ultimately we're supporting you and delivering what you need and the story that you want. And so you can review the draft, edit the draft, make it what you'd like it to be, and then you pass it through to the image generation models, and it takes about 2 minutes, and then you've got a movie studio style story that you can use with the kid. You could print it out, and yeah, it's really how it works.
Wow, it's amazing technology. So it's just text descriptor or generative technology, or can you put images in as well, and can it use
So
that?
right now you can't put images in yourself. You can regenerate the images that we create so they could be more aligned to what you're looking for. And it's based on what the plot point of the story was. So let's say we've got a scene and it's someone waiting in line for the bathroom and doing it patiently inside, surrounded by books, right? We'll generate an initial image. If you want to regenerate a few more to make sure that it's more closely aligned to what you need, you can do that easily. But inserting images is something that we're thinking about actually a lot.
Well, it's just I think the applications are so amazing that you can do something so fast and you can customize it to so many different situations and diverse audiences. It's just really incredible technology. And I kind of want to get more specifically into, if you have library users that are using this technology, how specifically libraries have been using this, since this is the
Yeah.
Libraries Open podcast.
Exactly. So, well, I'm so excited to be here because we are really just now breaking into the library space. And so, where we are is that we are trying to really get feedback from the library community, right? Because if anyone knows the importance of visuals, of the power of storytelling, and the importance of a personal approach, it's librarians and library communities, right? Like that is right at the nexus of like supporting kids in their creative and development journeys. And so we think it's a fantastic place to be. Where we have seen some interest is usually three different ways. So there's one-on-one usage, right? So you've got a librarian talking to a child about a particular thing, right? Where we can be a very helpful tool to facilitate a more productive one-on-one interaction that's fun and also has a great kind of nurturing experience to it. The other dimension is group activities. So we're going to create a story together and we're going to use AI. And it's, kind of crazy. It's kind of magical even for adults still, right? But it's still a very controlled environment within Nookly where it's a safer experience than if you go into one of the open platforms, where we've done a lot of work to control hallucinations to make sure things are safe. And we're a little bit more restrictive purposefully than other tools out there. So you could have group activities, making a story together and talking about it afterwards. The last piece is allowing parents to like check out a license for us so that they can maybe make a story for the first time on the library computer, but bring that home and continue the creative process with their child and kind of facilitate more fun in learning kind of joyful activities together. That's been the last way it's been leveraged so far.
That's so wonderful. I think so many different types of libraries could really benefit from this, especially for the group storytelling. That's something I didn't even think about, but it would be a
Yeah,
wonderful children's program.
it's been something that a lot of folks have reacted really positively to. I think that, I was talking to a librarian not that long ago, and they were saying, we play a really important role in helping children get ready to go out and be adults and operate in the real world, right? And AI is going to be a part of that, and it is not going away. And so if we don't understand how to use AI and do it in a thoughtful way, then it's hard for us if we're being expected to provide guidance, right, and help kids for this future. And so what we're trying to be, and I've used the word a few times, but is really a bridge to like, thoughtfully, carefully connect the power of storytelling, but also with the preparing them for the future of a world where AI is really permeating through everything that we do.
It's very important you say that because, like you said, it's doesn't seem to be going anywhere. So we
I don't
we
think
have to
so.
learn how to.
There's a lot of money being invested in this right now, so I think there'd be some unhappy campers.
Well, and I really appreciate you because it has been and will continue to be a very hot topic in the library world and somewhat of a controversial topic. So I think it's hearing a perspective like yours where it's, you're talking about the really positive applications of it. I think that's so important and how we can use it to, better leverage all our library technologies and services.
And it's a superpower, right? And superpowers can be used for good. They can also be used for bad. So it would be naive to dismiss concerns, right? But if we don't understand what this superpower can do, then folks are more exposed to having it be misused. And so that's at least how I think about it. And it makes sense to me.
And what is the age demographic for this, like the ideal user group age?
Yeah, so mostly it's early childhood, right? So we think there are a few different definitions of that. Broadly speaking, 2 to 10 or 2 to 8, excuse me, kind of is the biological age range. And I clarify that because we do have a lot of folks that use us with older children who have special needs. And so you know that developmental age is not necessarily the same as biological age. And so our developmental age range is early childhood.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like you're using it a lot for those early childhood applications, which is great. So I mean, if somebody wants to learn more about Nookly, where can they go? What can they do?
Yeah, well, you could visit us on our website. It's Nookly, like a reading nook, Nookly.com. Please check us out. And I know I mentioned this earlier, but I would love to connect with anybody who's interested in learning more. So feel free to reach out to me as well. My email is rex@nookly.com, and I'd be happy to connect with anybody.
Awesome. And is there just any other final thoughts you'd like to add or anything before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I think the last thing I'll say is a healthy skepticism is healthy. It's good to be skeptical. And I wouldn't, if anybody tells you to dismiss that, I would push back. But I think curiosity is the name of the game with this. And there's a lot of good that can come out of AI applications. I'm obviously biased. I think personalized learning is very important. But we're just kind of cracking the surface on what can be achieved with this technology.
Awesome. Healthy skepticism and optimism. I love that. That's a great way to end today. Well, thank you again, Rex, so much for being on the podcast. I'm going to share the links to everything we talked about, and I'll even insert some clips of the product in the video so people can kind of get an idea of what we're looking at. So, yeah, thank you again so much for being here.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
And yay, first podcast experience. Woo.
Woohoo! We did it. We made it through. Time for some coffee.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Thanks, everybody.